Hi folks, it's Smitty and of course the lovely and effervescent Miss Katie. And we're here in Florence, Alabama at the House of Cats. And what do we have today?
Panzer Shrek.
The new Panzer Shrek. And what game are we going to review?
Why don't you tell us?
Why don't I tell you? It would be the submarine game, which is U-Boat Captain. Now, how many submarines have you been on? Two, and where have they been?
Pittsburgh and Pearl Harbor.
The Bug. Say it right, miss. The Bug. And they were both World War II Gato class, I believe. One might have been an S-boat, but I'm not certain. But we were to go see a U-boat. Do you remember that one?
No.
In Chicago.
Chicago,
because there was also a Stuka attached to a ceiling you wanted to go see. But
oh, that's right.
That little thing called 9/11 happened, and we never got there. Yeah. So, but new game, and we're actually going to talk about, in passing, the issue, but we're mainly going to focus on U-Boat Captain. So in a moment, we will turn this over to Miss Katie, as I keep trying to cut her head off here today. Maybe it's a good thing I was watching videos of Robespierre and the French Revolution. Maybe that was what it's all about here. So anyway, what do we always do? Bye-byes. Hi, folks. I heard the magic beep. So, what do we have here today? Well, you obviously saw Miss Katie first, and that was the new Panzer Shrek. Well, of course, you know you're all going to see us all closer. Like how we got this little cool display here, 3 of them at once, because Gary sent us 5. And, of course, this is our wonderful thing to pull plexiglass off the table with. 100-page issue, and Gary, let me talk about the magazine for a moment here. It's available on Amazon for like $22.95 or something. It's also available in Minden Games. Gee, that sounds like a pitch, doesn't it? Here,
No, you'll hurt yourself.
I'll hurt myself and I'll ruin my shoulder from Afghanistan, which the Army fixed. So we won't talk about that. But 100-page, and Gary makes the comment in here that wow, he's not so technologically up to date and doesn't want to be. But if you go through the pages of this, you will see that Gary has embraced really good desktop publishing, best of procedures. It's a real steal for $23 approximately. Or go order it. It's worth your time. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, though, is U-Boat Captain. I like U-boat games. How many of us got the old SPI Classic, the approved Army method of pointing? Got to put the thumb in, though. Wolfpack. Wolfpack is one of my favorite games of all time, and in fact, I even have it for the PC. It's a very basic DOS-based game, but it's so much fun. But what do you get with this game? Well, it depends upon what you get. Gary sent me the Panzer Shrek number 19 component set because Gary knows that I really suck at arts and craft. I suck at putting stuff together because, well, let's go into the poor Smitty. Well, my wartime injuries make my hands hurt and I don't do stuff so good, so I'm starting to sound like Eeyore, right? Well, it's true. It is an issue.
You do sound like Eeyore.
And I did sound like Eeyore. But let's look here, because there are 2 things to consider. If you buy it without the component set, well, then you got to do a little arts and craft. But most of that's not bad, because I'm going to show you. Here is the map that comes with the component set. Here is what I printed out off the computer. Right now, my computer continues to diss me with wanting to do 110 cardstock. Well, we're continuing to have that, how should we put it? A come to Jesus conversation with our Office Pro 9015 or 9025. But so you see the map, and you see how nice that comes out though in terms that it is. It's significantly bigger. It's probably 50% bigger. So, simple, easy math. Then, we have, well, we're talking about components, boats. You have the 7 Bravo, the 7 Charlie, the 9 Alpha, and the 9 Charlie. Now, they're on the paper there. You also have the same boats on these nice little cards. Good card stock. I like good card stock. And of course, you notice there's the Minden Games symbol, which you all love, right? Because I love it. There's also various U-boats, the damage markers, and the trouble markers. So again, and of course, Gary always has, because this is a solitaire game. Because it is a solitaire game, Gary always has reference cards, charts, like here, your daily patrol table, your merchant table, the escort table, because, well, there are often escorts. You have the game sequence, post-resolution sequence, engagement sequence, the torpedo table. If it was an American torpedo table in 1942, it would just have the acronym lots of laughter on it. Deck gun table, which is mainly for early war. You then have detection table, ASW table, and special damage table. All good stuff so far. We have a very nice article by Bob Flood, a good historical background article that comes with it. And then, of course, you've got right, U-boat captain, the game actual. And the rules go for, well, actually surprising for how long they go for a Minden game. They go for about 15 pages. But part of that, and this is where I like, is that Gary goes for an example of a complete patrol. The example of the complete patrol goes for, as Miss Katie would say,
Faux
tables. It goes for faux pages, or in human speak, 4 pages. Nice stuff. Here's some designer notes at the end. He also has your victory conditions, which he always has at everything. But there are, I think there were 9. Let me look here. 5, 6, 7, 9 scenarios, 7 actual, 1 design your own, 1 personal campaign, and a plethora. I hate when my students use the word plethora. Well, let's see. What do I hate as much? Kinetic. I hate kinetic. I hate the word kinetic. Well, kinetic strikes. Come on. Talk something different. But lots of optional rules. So, is this a good bargain? Well, let me start laughing now. I think it's a great bargain. But what do you need to play it? Well, let's see. Where do I see him over there anyway? Because I knocked him off the other day. No, I don't see him. You need a deck of playing cards. Playing cards drive the game. Really very easily to deal with. It works well. It makes for a fast-playing game, and it means that Mittens, my kitty who loves to steal dice, isn't stealing any dice off the table. At least not for most of the game. Near as I can tell you. Yeah, because everything... Homeward journey segment. Okay. If I draw this, it takes 2 draws. And then, of course, it tells you what the draws are. Refitting. Well, that is then a die roll. So that would mean I'd have to be very careful with Mittens around. How long will this take to play? I don't know yet, because we just got this. But we're very excited about this game. We will show you things in closer detail. And now what do we always talk about?
Books.
Books! We always talk about books, because I like books. Miss Katie likes books. You should never marry somebody who doesn't like books. The War for the Seas. We first saw this when we lived in Florida, and I disregarded it. Oh, silly me. Silly, silly me. It is maybe the best modern single volume on World War II naval to include all theaters and all major belligerents. It just does not only focus on U-boats, but it focuses a lot on surface actions. Good book. We bought The Battle for the Atlantic at the Penn State book sale in 2018. My brother was still alive then. For
$1.
$1. We bought it for $1. Good little book. Although my one boss hated John Costello. We won't go there. Didn't hated John Protos much worse than John Costello, so we won't go into either one of those. A book you really want to find. Axis Submarine Successes of World War II. It's a nifty little book. It tells you, let's open it up. All right, September 1942. On 17 September, Delta 109, let's see, attacked the Blythrod, and it gives you the degree, the longitude. So, you want to know more than you could ever want to know, more than I probably ever want to know, about World War II subs, right there. Then, of course, there are the two classics. There's first the Happy Time book. There's Clay Blair's U-Boat War, and this is the happy time for the U-boats from 1939 to 1942 when they were pretty darn successful. Then there is the, as he calls it, the Hunter volume, where things become much less happy. And from 1943 onwards, most people know that the U-boat arms suffered tremendous losses. Worse losses than a World War I infantryman in terms of amount of people in the service versus the amount of losses. Because if your sub goes down, well, you know, you're probably not going to make it out. So, that's that. So, good new game. We thank Gary for sending it to us. Of course, you know, we're the game review editor there, and we get paid in love. We get paid in love, and we get paid in game issues or something. But we do it out of joy, we do it out of love, because we've been a very blessed person, and we like doing this stuff, because otherwise, why would we make these videos, right? Because, again, we ain't getting paid. And, of course, you hear that background noise? That's my oldest dog, Dingbat, snoring. So, all right, folks, as always, we thank you. It's a good day. It's a glorious day to go hunting merchant ships in the North Atlantic with Gary's new game. And do you remember what the name is, Miss Katie? Because I had to look again myself. U-Boat Captain. Thanks, folks. Bye. All right, folks, let's look at components now. Here you have the 7 Bravo on paper, the 7 Bravo on the cardstock. Notice it's not much for fuel, good on gun ammo, but only 14 torpedoes. Now, when we get to the 7 Charlie, let's look at the difference. The 7 Charlie is still the same amount of fuel, same amount of guns, same amount of torpedo, and took the same damage. So what were they thinking with these ships? I don't know. So let's take a look then when we turn over to the 9 Alpha. The 9 Alpha goes up to 47 on fuel, drops in ammo, but we jump from 14 torpedoes to 22 torpedoes, and the amount of damage that it can receive is an 8. And with these, you could use a dry erase marker. See, you can put your boat number, your captain. Our ship would, of course, be the Stinky Kitten, because all of our U-boats always start out as the Stinky Kitten. Now, the 9 Charlie versus the 9 Alpha, more fuel by 8 more ratings, takes 1 more in damage, 9 versus 8, but the same amount of torpedoes and gun ammo. So there you have the ship component. Now let's get the map here. Here's your map. Print it off and out of the game component. And you see that there are various areas where you can control. Much like many of the other games of its type, I was glad to see Gary do something like this. It's I don't want to say quite involved, but very meaty. And now let's look at charts. Wait, silly me. Before we look at charts, here are your trouble markers. We'll go in close. Your damage markers and your U-boat captain counters. And then Gary has create your own. How nice is that? And historical U-boat numbers. So, good historical execution here. Let's get into the reference cards. Here, your daily patrol one. If it's hearts, there's no sighting. So you don't get anything until you get a spades. That's tough, isn't it? And then you get night sighting, dependent upon what it is. From night sighting is 8 to king, spades is ace to 7. Then you've got your merchant table and your escort table. Now let's flip card number 1 over, and it becomes the back side of it. You have your Das Boot sequence and your post resolution. And of course you've got somebody there with a deck gun. Now card number 2, you have the detection table, the ASW table, and the special damage table. Now we will flip this card over, so bear with me folks, thank you. You have the engagement sequence, the torpedo and deck gun table, but what I like here is you can go ahead and and this is a tactical option, how you decide to conduct your attack. Do you want to go long range, medium, or short range? But of course each one has benefits and a greater assumption of risk. So there you have it. If you've got any questions about the books, feel free to drop me a note either on Facebook or on the Panzer Digest page as well on Facebook. As always, we thank you folks, and good hunting on the high seas. Oh yes, for in case anybody thought there was anything missing from the package, well there was, not from Gary's aspect, but from mine. There is the log, the U-boat log, that you can reproduce in whatever volume you want, and here it is for you to look at. So it is a complete package, and we just forgot that.